All right, welcome back to the Acer Team Story Cup, boys and girls. This is Millennium versus Complexity Dignitas, the alliance between those two teams. And if you're just tuning in, it is currently 3-0 in the favor of Millennium. Knock on wood, we'll see if Dayshi can pull off that all-kill or not, though. Spawning the top left corner of the map, he's Terran, he's new to the arena. Let's see if he can turn this around. It's the red Terran player, Select.
In the upper right, as the blue Terran, it is Millennium's Dayshi.
Dayshi kind of, I don't know, the ultimate badass lately.
Seems pretty on point. Now, of course, he did lose the WCEU match, which, you know, you could argue is like kind of like what everything should, I don't know, like come to a point for. But he was also in a really tough group. He played against his, I think he played against MMA actually to lose his deciding match. But like he was actually going to win that apparently first. I only caught like glimpses of the series, but he was like totally on fire. He was facing the Koreans, no problem, or with only some problems. He looked super strong, and it was just one of those like, shucks, I messed up in the last 5 minutes, and then came back.
Well, the thing too is, let's not forget, mirror matchups are always kind of a little bit rough in the first place, but TVT has never really been Daishi's strong suit. However, between Nation Wars and the Acer Team Story Cup, like after, like post WCS, something happened, like something clicked, and he just got really good at it all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's been practicing with 4GG.
Maybe. I don't know. Like we always talk about like teammates and practice, but from everyone I've talked to, there's rarely practice, and it's always just like them talking strategy and theory crafting. I don't know a lot of the like even the My Insanity guys don't play against each other that often. It's just more about talking about what does and doesn't work for them.
Well, yeah, we did have a conversation about this, but like I was imagining more 4GG, while he's not in the headlines anymore as much, even though he did win his WCSU match. He still has an extremely high TVT rate, and if I'm guessing, he still has a high win rate on ladder. So Dayshi, you know, might have said, okay, who's the best to learn from, and then gotten 4GG's VOD or replays, which, you know, that's got to be one of the things that you can probably ask your teammate for. It's like, just give me like 10 of your replays.
Yeah, check out builds, try and mimic them, what does and doesn't work, but. Yeah, so a little information about this going into the guys. Neither of these teams can really get top 4 anymore, and if anything, they're fighting for the spots not to get knocked out. I think Complexity Dignitas is out no matter what. They're the bottom team in the Acer Team Story Cup, so today's match is just for the sake of playing. Maybe get a little bit of respect, get some sick replays or something, but for Select, he's in I feel so bad for this guy. Like, he came back to StarCraft 2. He was on fire for the first, like, 3 months after coming back from Dota. And then now he's back in Korea. He's living in this, I guess, very crowded house. So he plays all his Acer Team Story Cup matches from like public gaming places like PC Bangs, whatever they're called, and it's just not your comfort zone. I mean, when you play StarCraft 2, you always want to be like, you know, in your room, your safe place, whatever.
First blood.
But competing in an area where it's open, it's public, you're worried about other people watching over your shoulder, rubbing up against somebody else, whatever the case may be. I kind of wish Select would have a better environment to play in, because his lack of victories has kind of been reflecting that lately.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been. I guess you haven't, because you just sound like you haven't. But like the aisles are so close that whenever someone has to walk behind you, they bump you. It's kind of.
I've never been to like a LAN center or PC Bang or one of those like sort of community. Like I'd love to, but there's just none of that where I live, sadly. I think
yeah.
Vancouver, which was like a good hour-and-a-half drive for me, is like the closest place I would know if that would have something like that. Like there's internet cafes that I've been to where I live, but they're more like, oh, let's have some tea. There's 4 tables and 1 PC per table type thing. Yeah,
no, it's seriously cramped in actual PC bangs, and like everyone's pushing up against it and stuff. So it's a pretty bad environment. Of course, I have to just imagine that it's a little more frustrating just in general. Like you don't feel as motivated when you have to go down there and whatnot, but. Unfortunately, Select just, came out of the gates pretty strong again, but then, yeah, really has died off. I was trying to think of someone who had that in the reverse, where they came back, weren't doing so well, and then they just exploded again.
Violet. 100% Violet.
Yeah, that was Violet, of course. So, like, he came back, no one really cared. Well, people care, but it's doing a whole lot.
I was gonna say, he was like the first player to like get one of those green card, or not green cards, like, was it the visas or whatever, so that he could play. Like, it wasn't that nobody cared, but his results were not good. Like, he came back, and it was like the anti-hype. finishing top 2, top 3 a lot of the time, whether it's Lone Star Clash or actually I don't remember how he did in Lone Star Clash, but like the Acer Team Straight Cup doesn't have him obviously, but go for StarCrafts, the IEM qualifiers, things like this. We're seeing a lot better out of Violet. In fact, when he beat Polt for the Home Story Cup qualifiers, I was kind of like, whoa, he's come quite some way.
Yeah, so yeah, you're exactly right. That's what I was thinking of. But this TVT, it started off with barely anything happening. Like a Reaper Scout and an SCV Scout from Select. Still not a whole lot going on. Was Hellion trying to get some damage done, but nope, two SCVs.
Alright, so a little bit of poke, but nothing too crazy. Cloak Banshee, though, could do a little bit more here in the main. Gonna be driven off by that this nice stealth detection to it. I like that Dayshi put this down here, too, by the way, to cover his production. So oftentimes we'll see, like, the Banshee, if you can't get the SCVs, just camp the Marines, camp the tanks, pick off what it can, where it can. But it also provides that little bit of extra detection range, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm. Now, Select did go for a bit of a less economical opener, so while both players have killed 2 SCVs each, the supply or the SCV counts obviously much so in favor of Dayshi.
He's going to get the Banshee and make it a little bit better, too. The tanks is looking pretty strong, though. One of the annoying things about Frost, though, is there's a couple spots you can siege up, like here at the edge of the cliff, but I don't think that's going to come into effect, not for the early poke. What was that other map? Yansu was the worst for that, like where you'd place your buildings close to the edge.
Oh god,
like
that was terrible.
Yeah, you like have that sweet spot for every tank in the world to go just wreck your production with.
Yeah, I remember that was bad. And then Habitation Station has it too. Like every Terran's starting to learn, like don't put your buildings at all close to the, the gold base, whichever side you're on, because they're gonna siege up at the gold base and wreck your stuff.
Wreck your stuff.
Gonna wreck it. Gonna wreck it.
I'm gonna wreck it. Oh man, I love Wreck-It Ralph. That's such a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Okay, Banshee's gonna back away.
Yeah. I mean, the Banshees being alive past like the 10-minute mark, it doesn't really do a whole lot. But you'd be surprised at how many times a person does push with like the 2 tank push, and having one Banshee, and dodging one scan suddenly lets you push that back a lot easier. Versus Banshee just dies. You are not a hero today. Or a heroine, I suppose.
Well, it does kind of suck that he's losing these Banshees, though, because these would have been the advantage he would have had over the tanks, right? Like, Daishi's gone for tanks in lieu of Banshees. The Banshees are kind of what you do instead of the tanks, and if Dayshi pushes, maybe you can break the line with a couple cloaked Banshees, but having lost them all so far is going to make that even more difficult once Dayshi starts pushing across the map. Oh, I died in a bank heist again. I gotta stop doing these while we're casting.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, everyone keeps letting me die. Drop here and the main comes off here. Nice Widowmine hit, though. All these Marines are so low. The medevac can't possibly heal this up. Boost out of there. I didn't even... Look at that sneaky little guy. I didn't even see that over there.
Yeah. That's a pretty nice spot. Of course, it was probably more to get the Banshee, and then he forgot about it, but it still worked out greatly for that medevac. With Stim not done for both players, drops are kind of lame, honestly. Like, usually an instant Stim, and then they're doing a bunch of damage, but... They're slow and they don't fire fast.
It's pretty much the definition of lackluster.
Yeah. But it's still worthwhile because you can catch them off guard. They're pushing out prepared to meet their stim timing on their way over, and you come just a little bit sooner before your stim. It can work out.
Well, Select is going to have a pretty sizable army at home. Defensively speaking, he should be able to hold this versus Dayshi as long as he intercepts at the correct location. I mean, he's got 3 tanks. He's got a hell of a lot of Marines. He's going to be able to match Dayshi. The only thing he lacks is Vikings. And quite frankly, those Vikings will change everything.
Well, very good spot for Dayshi. Luckily, there was 1 tank for Select up here, but that's not going to be enough.
Ooh. Dayshi actually holds onto the tank too with 8 health.
Select, he doesn't have a very high, he never had a very high tank count. This all started, I guess, from like the less economical opener. He's always been consistently down by about 10 to 15 supply, and now it's really showing because Dayshi can kind of run him around. There's not enough to spread out Select.
That tank sieged up ahead of time, though, is working out really nicely for Select. He'll take out Dayshi's tank on the high ground. But the Marines started going to the middle line while this was happening. Perhaps a little distracted was Select, so loses a couple SCVs while this is happening. Nothing so devastating out of the game.
Dayshi didn't have Stim this entire time. Would have been a lot easier to type off some of those tanks than he was. But
Stim is such a crucial part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as Dayshi doesn't lose these 2 tanks, he can disengage off this. He comes out ahead on the resources lost. And these Vikings are not going to be contested anytime soon.
Right.
Wow,
so
that Marine Corps. Jeez. Like a
Dayshi
jump.
does have to. Dayshi has to pull back. Just just tanks. They can easily overrun you. But he still has a supply lead, and he has an SCV lead, and he has a third lead. Like
Yeah.
the Select doesn't even have a third.
This is starting to spiral out of control pretty fast. And in a TVT mirror matchup, guys, while in other matchups, you lose a couple units early on, you can be screwed. I'm referring to PvP as one of the biggest examples of this, but Select with a good positional engagement can still take fights from Dayshi. That's the thing. That's the nature of TVT. Siege tanks change this up so heavily. I mean, one player running into another here is going to be a bit problematic. You can't really afford to stim in. Hold position from Select right now is so important, or he would have lost like 11 Marines instead of just 1. So lots of subtle things here can bring Select back into this, but he is behind. There's no changing that.
This is not enough. Dayshi could push into this, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, Marines pre-spread, get on top of the tanks right away. As soon as those get taken out, he can fall back to his own tanks, but perhaps throwing away too many Marines?
Nah. That was a pretty good calculation from Dayshi right there to know that even if he lost all his Marines, it would still be enough tanks to deal with Select's Marines.
But also there's no medevacs. You can't heal the units that are stimming. The 2 medevacs that are here just boosted across the map.
Yeah.
And Dayshi's got
this.
He sieges up in base. He's leaving Marines at home. He knows the drop's coming.
Yeah, this is the drops gonna do nothing.
Oh,
Select.
Select. Yeah.
Select was just down and out from this game from like the 5-minute mark. Just has not been able to recover, find any hole so that he could jump ahead. Maybe if you're down by 20 supply, you get a faster third and turtle until then. Well, he's down in everything.
Well, big drop comes out from Dayshi. All those 5 tanks get in a nice position. Select stims on top of them, though. Without that Marine counterfighter on the south, he's actually going to lose these tanks, but...
Nah. That was...
What?
Even just trading the
Were you
the
just
army for
shushing
army.
me? Is that what just happened?
No. It was just a sound, like, but instead I went, shh.
It's like, what? Like I'm wrong? Like the tanks are dying. What are you talking about? You're like,
No.
shh. Rifkin, just shh. Calm down. It's all good.
No tears, only dreams.
All right, well, Dayshi actually in a really good spot for that. And not that he wasn't before, but that even sets him further ahead. He killed so many ACVs in that engagement. He's got, it's 24 to 65, 3 bases to 2. As long as he keeps trading out evenly, in a worst case scenario, as long as he trades evenly to the end of this game, he wins. Just through his mineral income, his gas income alone.
He would have to, like, doom drop into 5 missile turrets and lose all of his medevacs.
Even if you
That'd
do
be
drop through
that
5
bad.
turrets, you can boost through them. So, I mean, even that's not even
Okay,
a worst
like
case
with
scenario.
slow medevacs and like 20 Marines there too. All right, like the point is all the medevacs have to die with all of his army inside of it for him to even like come close
Okay, sure.
to equalizing. No tears.
All right, this is gonna be rough. The stim actually goes off a little bit late, but still, that 1 Marine coming from the ramp distracted for long enough. GG is gonna be called. Dayshi on a 4 killing spree right now. Knock on wood, guys. 1 game away from an all kill. We'll see if he can lock this down. Of course, the question remains: who does Dignitas resurrect? What map? If we knew what, I gotta go look up what map because I want to say Tefl.